for the Feast for the Soul. Welcome to the closing ceremony for the Feast of the Soul. I'm Sarah McLean, and I'm so happy that Sue Cooper and Susie and Mary and Shay and all the other guides and participants have been with us on this 40-day journey, which we call apparently the Fast Feast. Some of us cannot believe it's over. It just began. It was a very simple feast for those of us on the admin side. So I'm grateful for that because it means it's sustainable for all of us. So, of course, this year's theme, and of course, there are many themes, I wonder what the theme was for you. Actually, I invite you to put it in the chat if there was a particular theme for you that arose. We aimed for inner peace, because that's a good theme, harmony, and compassion. And those are all ingredients to a life that is a feast every day. And so I'm really excited to welcome you, to celebrate your feast, and to guide us in a closing practice. So look at some of these: the Feast of Presence, the Feast of Calm, the Feast of Focused Awareness, the Feast of Compassion, Love, and Support, the Feast of Presence and Healing and Realignment and Loving and Community. Thank you. We've achieved our goals. Good. But these goals don't end now. And of course, if you happen to be following the Lenten path, we've got 40 days more, and you can keep this feast going straight up until next year. And we'll be offering some free meditations on the feast website throughout the year. So let's celebrate. Let's take this moment focusing on the benefits that you've experienced, focusing on what you appreciate in this moment, focusing on your devotion to your practice and to your commitment to making peace a priority in the midst of the chaos. So now more than ever, I feel, though we can weather the storm as feasters, the storm sometimes, I can see some people in the Northeast United States are dealing with a storm right now. And the storm, there's always a storm out there, but there can be peace in here. Sometimes the storms are really to remind us of that. So I'd like to welcome Mary. Mary's here. Mary Walsh from cold Florida in the United States is going to be sharing a reading, followed by Shay, and then Susie will be guiding a meditation. So I invite you to sit back and relax and receive this beautiful closing ceremony.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
So the reading I chose is from Thich Nhat Hanh, his book, Peace is Every Step. That's where most of it comes from. Bring your focus into the present moment and discover the joy that is already here. Hope is for the future. It cannot help us discover joy, peace, or enlightenment in the present moment. I do not mean that you should not have hope, but hope is not enough. If you rechannel those energies of hope for the future into the present moment, you will make a breakthrough and discover joy and peace right in the present moment, inside of yourself and all around you. A.J. Muste, a mid-20th century leader of the peace movement in the United States, said, "There is no way to peace. Peace is the way." This means that you can realize peace right in the present moment with your look, your smile, your words, and your actions. Peace work is not a means. Each step we make should be peace. Each step we make should be joy. Each step we make should be happiness. If we are determined We can do it. We don't need the future. We can smile and relax. Everything we want is right here in the present moment. I've heard it said that happiness is an inside job. So is peace, an inner peace. Through mindfulness and meditation practices, let it begin with me. Let it begin with you right here, right now, in the present moment. And I'll end with a quote from Robert Furlong, who is an American author best known for his book, All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. And he says, peace is not something you wish for. It is something you make, something you are, something you do, and something you give away. Thank you.
I'm Shay Condro, and this reflection is something I call Harmony Begins Here. Harmony is something we discover when we listen deeply enough. It is the quiet alignment of many living parts. It is breath and heart finding rhythm together. It is difference held in deep listening. It is the courage to remain open without losing the thread of love. In these 40 days, we have practiced something subtle. We have practiced listening to breath, to silence, to what aches, to what awakens. As we have listened within, we have been tuning quietly to one another. Harmony begins here, not by erasing difference, not by fixing what is broken, but by allowing every part to belong. When nothing within us is exiled, we move differently in the world. We speak differently. We choose differently. We walk differently. And slowly, peace becomes more than an idea. It becomes a way of moving together. May we continue walking shoulder to shoulder, tuning our lives towards love. May we find harmony within and bring that harmony gently to the world. In closing, I share these words from Margaret Mead, a cultural anthropologist who believed deeply in the power of community and the capacity of small groups to create meaningful change. She wrote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. It is the only thing that ever has. May it begin within. May it begin with me."
That's beautiful, Shay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A lot of juicy words today so far between Mary and Sarah and Shay, but this is my favorite part of every Monday. It's where we get to actually practice meditation together. And we've said it, like, it's been a very fast feast. We're like the drive-through feast this year. You know, it's like in and out, get it done. And that's what's beautiful about the feast. You get to try so many different practices, and different practices have different kind of effects or, outcomes. They leave you feeling expanded or, different flavors every day of the feast. So for today, we're going to do a practice that will do a short recapitulation. We're going to just cast our minds back the 40 days and then gradually bring ourselves into day 40. So for this practice, I really invite you to relax, settle in, softly close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And we'll do this practice. It'll probably last about 20 minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes, okay? So I really want you to be comfortable for it. And as you find that point of comfort and you start to relax your body, I invite you to just cast your mind back, if you can, to the moment when this feast began. We all gathered for a beautiful opening ceremony. And maybe you were here live or you watched it as a recording, but wherever and whenever you started your feast, did you set an intention for yourself? So if you can go back and recall any intentions that were set. Were there any quiet hopes? Maybe you were drawn by a sort of a curiosity or a devotion that was stirred up in you that you really wanted to make a commitment to. So just as you go back, see, who were you then? What were you longing for at the start of the feast? Imagine seeing that version of yourself back there, sitting eagerly with anticipation for the 40 days that you were stepping into. And we'll just offer some gratitude from our hearts to that part of ourselves that had the courage and the willingness to say yes to the feast. Taking your breath in, we were showing up with each day that came from day one through the first couple of weeks, getting the hang of it, navigating the technology, adjusting to the times and the time zones. There was a lot of adjustment, but there was a commitment and a dedication that kept us all going. And then around day 20, we got to the middle of the feast. We were on a roll then. And parts of the practice really became something tangible, something real, a real experience that you started to have, perhaps, where your habits started to meet that awareness, that expectation, and where the devotion to your practice started to gain momentum. In the middle part of the feast, did you learn something new about yourself? Were your edges beginning to soften? Your resolve strengthening? And even if you stumbled and missed a few, you paused, perhaps, you returned. There's a dignity in that. Keep coming back. And now as we come towards the final last couple of days of the feast arriving, not believing, wow, we've come to the end of the 40 days. So we'll pause here and just notice what feels different. What feels different perhaps in your body, in your mind? Having walked through 40 days together, 40 days showing up. And as we arrive, we don't have to see it as an ending, just a completion of a cycle, a ripening. So let's arrive today on day 40, taking a breath, acknowledging that we've arrived at this point together. let's take a long, slow, deep breath in. And as you release and exhale, let go all of the memories, everything that I've been jogging you through there. There's nothing else to remember now. There's nothing to anticipate. We're going to enter a sacred silence by becoming aware of the environment, becoming aware of your senses, perhaps the temperature of the air against your skin, the sounds in your environment, any other sensations in your body, and just noticing how your mind is. But we'll keep bringing our focus back to our breath. The thoughts, the sounds, the sensations will come and go. And we'll use the breath now to keep us anchored in the presence, in this moment. We're not trying to go anywhere or have a particular experience. We're simply breathing now, softening, settling. Whenever the thoughts arise, just watch them pass through. Return then to the rhythm of your breath, right here, right now. And then moving your attention from your breath, let's go inward a little bit more towards your heart center. Just feel this connection with your heart in this present moment. And we've been feeling the qualities of inner peace. We've been cultivating inner peace. Allow your heart to feel that peace now. We've been cultivating the quality of compassion. Feel the compassion in your heart. Cultivate the quality of self-compassion in your heart. And when those two qualities come together, the peace with compassion, we're creating a sense of harmony within. Whenever your mind wanders, just keep coming back to the center of your chest. Connect with the qualities of peace, compassion, and harmony. And noticing how those qualities they're like a fertilizer in the soil of your heart space. We can really cultivate the qualities by bringing our awareness to our heart. And now we're going to plant some seeds. We're going to plant these seeds in our heart for all of the practices yet to come, yet to be experienced this year. Future seeds. Imagine now you're taking seeds of peace. And just allow them to lay gently in the soil of your heart, planting seeds of peace. Now we'll plant seeds of compassion. Imagine dropping in these little seeds of compassion into the fertile soil of your heart. And when they're all planted nice and evenly, I invite you now to plant seeds of a continued practice, cultivating a continued practice throughout the year ahead, seeding your continued practice in your heart as an intention. Allow them to softly land there, the seeds of your continued practice. And like all seeds, let's let them go. We don't want to force our seeds, we don't want to rush them. We're just allowing the seeds to really settle in, take root in the fertile soil of our hearts. And with consistency and a continued practice, we can really let go and trust that these seeds of peace will continue to grow. We're going to visualize ourselves into the future now. Wherever you find yourself, imagine a future moment from now. It could be a few weeks, a couple of months. And imagine yourself sitting again, breathing, practicing breath awareness, settling your mind, your body. Imagine yourself settling into a meditation practice and connecting with these seeds of peace, the seeds of harmony and compassion. realizing that every time we return, we're fertilizing those qualities within. We'll rest here for a few more moments in silence. Now we're going to take another long, slow, steady breath in. And let the whole practice go. Coming back to your heart. Coming back to your breath. Coming back to this present, precious moment. Trusting that the seeds are planted and the roots will deepen with your consistency, with your practice. And we've all planted the seeds now to carry forward the feast in our own individual ways. Not just with an effort, but as an embodied presence. Feel your fingers and your toes. Become aware of the environment that you're occupying, the sounds. When you feel ready, take a big, big, big stretch. Take up your space in the room. Expanding that lovely awareness. I love to take a big stretch up when I've been seated for a while, but do what feels good for you. When you come back down, I like to have Pranamasana, prayer position, take a bow. Take a bow to yourself for being a really valued part of Feast for the Soul this year. Year 19, wow. And it keeps on going and it keeps on giving. It's just so beautiful to be part of it as an individual. But then when we take our thumbs to the heart center, really just feel this collective, feel the kindness, the compassion, the commitment of everybody here to peace, to their self-care, and like everybody has been saying, we're making these subtle changes on the inside. It really is an inside job. So I'm grateful to have shared the meditation for the closing of today's feast. Thank you for practicing with me, and I'm going to pass you over to Sue, I believe, who's going to really bring some more. Now we're very receptive. Notice that receptivity, I would say, and see what Sue has in store.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Susie. That was so beautiful. So perfect, of course. Yes. Whilst we're still in this beautiful zone, I'd like to finish sort of the closing ceremony the way we opened, to make it a full circle. And we started with the revised Charter for Compassion 2.0. So I'd like to share this with you again, whilst we're still in a very receptive and comfortable position.
So, Charter for Compassion 2.0, 2025. Charter for Compassionate Transformation. From inner healing to planetary flourishing. The Great Turning. We, the global community of Earth, stand at a threshold moment in human and planetary history. The principle of compassion, which has always resided at the heart of all religious, ethical, spiritual, and indigenous traditions, now calls us to a profound transformation. From separation to kinship, from charity to justice, from competition to cooperation, and from human-centered thinking to universal awareness. We recognize that authentic compassion begins with the understanding that inner healing extends outwards through just relationships, regenerative systems, and reverent care for all life. Compassion is both a deep awareness of suffering and a courageous commitment to transformation, addressing symptoms and root causes through intentional action and structural change. Call to transformation. We are called to make compassion a clear, luminous, and dynamic force in our world as it awakens to greater interconnection and wholeness. Rooted in inner healing and manifested as justice, this expanded compassion can dissolve our perceived boundaries between self and other, human and nature, past, present, and future. Born of our deep interdependence with all life, compassion is essential to human relationships and to the continuation of life itself on Earth. It is the path to collective healing and indispensable to the creation of regenerative economies, restorative justice, and a thriving planetary community. We call upon all beings to join this great work of our time. The transformation of our civilizations from systems of domination to cultures of partnership, from economies of extraction to economies of care, from a pattern consciousness of separation to an expanded awareness of sacred kinship with all life. The Living Promise. This charter is our sacred promise to life itself, a commitment to embody the change we seek, to heal wounds we have inherited, and to plant seeds of flourishing for generations yet to come. It is an invitation to participate in the greatest story ever told, the story of life awakening to its own sacred nature and choosing love over fear, cooperation over domination, and healing over harm. May our words become actions. Our actions become culture. And our culture become the foundation for a world where all beings can thrive in dignity, beauty, and beloved community. Thank you. So let's just take a breath. Take a breath, a conscious breath, and settle into the essence, the transmission of those words. Beauty, dignity, and beloved community. And I believe that this is what we have all co-created during this feast. I feel incredibly grateful that this feels a lived experience. And this document, whilst it's a charter, it's a living document. And the ask is that you take it into your hearts. If you go on to the, we'll put it into the chat, charterforcompassion.org website. There's a huge amount of resources there now to support this revised charter. And not forgetting the original charter, which was read at the United Nations in 2009. That is a foundational charter that has seeded compassionate communities and compassionate cities throughout the globe. This new revision, this new iteration is now that call to action, to conscious action in our own hearts and radiating out into our families, into our neighborhoods, into our areas, our communities, maybe into our cities, but doing this consciously through our own compassion for ourselves, self-compassion. That's where it starts. So from inner healing to planetary flourishing. So thank you so much. I'd like to pass back now to Susie, who's got some thoughts about continuing the practice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue. Every time I hear the Charter for Compassion 2.0, I get another piece of it. It kind of goes in gradually. So the more often we hear it, I think the more powerful it's becoming. It's kind of landing. There's like more space every time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, there were just a couple of things, and I wasn't sure whether these were going to be part of this recording, but I'm happy to put them in because I want to inspire everybody who listens to this recording and who's here on the live call. Because when you complete the 40 days, there's this kind of sense of, oh my God, what'll I do tomorrow? You know, like, where do I go from here? And it might all feel a bit like you just don't want to lose what you've been kind of building up, because meditation's accumulative, you know, so is stress, but so is meditation. So it's an accumulative practice, and you'll definitely be feeling the benefits of that, I'd say, by today. And so you kind of don't want to drop the ball, so to speak. So there are many ways that you can continue your practice, and obviously we have regular practices like Shay is on a Sunday, Sarah has Awaken Wednesdays. You know, there are other teachers that are regularly putting practices out there that you can join. We do Mindful Monday here on the same link every Monday. Everybody is welcome to all of those. But if you don't have the time, or that don't fit into your time zone, you can still establish your own personal practice, a sadhana, by developing the consistency that you've developed already over the 40 days. So choose to practice every morning, maybe every evening, ideally on an empty stomach, you know, before meals ideally. Use the resources. There are so many resources now on the Feast YouTube, on the Spotify, on the website. So use them. There's so many gorgeous meditations that have been recorded, over 19 years worth, you know, so there's a lot there. So you'll never be short of a meditation. Use a timer. If you don't want to follow a guided meditation, or it's not possible, always just time your practice. So download, if you have a smartphone, a timer app or one of those, and get kind of proficient with just timing your practice. Start off small. Start off wherever you're at that moment. If you feel like it's 10, sometimes I do that. I'll go in for 15, but then I end up staying way past the bell. I'd be in there for 30, you know. So, but my mind is kind of interrupting me a lot, setting up all the sort of, you know, reasons why I can't do it. And ultimately, I'll start where my mind's at limiting it to, okay, I could only do 15 minutes. But when I settle into the practice, I don't really usually want to come out of it. So just meet yourself wherever you're at when you're timing your own self-guided meditations, and be very gentle with the tracking of that. You'll get all sorts of, things, on the apps. They give you all sorts of incentives to keep practicing. So have another kind of habit associated with meditation whereby you'll do it before looking at your phone in the morning. Say, okay, I can't pick up that device till I've connected in with myself. And like Sarah said earlier, that can just be a couple of minutes. It can just be a few moments just to really check in with yourself and come into your heart. What else do I have here? Yeah, start with a shorter practice, build up gradually. Don't kind of overextend yourself at the get-go. Treat it like a sacred appointment. I think that's a really worthy one. It's kind of the yum time. We've been doing the dream yoga now, and everybody who's been doing that is saying that, wow, they can't wait to go to bed, So meditation could be that for you. It's just that divine appointment. I'm not going to miss it. And the yum factor that comes out of the end of the practice will be the kind of, it's a gateway drug. We all know that at this stage, like there's something in there, we're getting the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin, like it's a rush. So, don't miss it. And then when you do have resistance to the practice, meet that with kindness, I think, be very gentle with yourself, but get in something, get 2 minutes at least, don't miss it completely. And I would also suggest starting off, if this is quite new to you, with a very simple technique, and maybe stay with the same technique initially. So if you love the kind of breath awareness practices, do that. If you're more of a mantra gal or guy, do that. If you love loving kindness practices or gratitude, do those. Just really find what technique really suits your where you are, who you are, and where you're at. And if you're more of a silent witnessing gal or guy, just set the timer and sit in silence for a little bit. There's no doer for meditation, really. It's like cultivating more of a state of being. So I'll stop there. But, they were just suggestions for everybody just to keep you all going. And I'm now going to pass you back to Sarah. This is like passing the ball. So I think she's going to close as the co-director.
Well, my cat loves this experience. She just decided to join you all because she loves you. She's been meditating with us quite a bit. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Shay. Thank you, Mary. It's such a beautiful day and a beautiful ceremony. And like Susie said, Sue, every time I hear the Charter for Compassion, I hear something different. It's wild. And we will be posting that on the Feast website. And Susie, I loved how you called it a gateway drug. I mean, that's what it feels like for those of us who like to get high in a natural way with no negative side effects. Meditation is the best. I look forward to it every day, twice a day. I mean, it is something that's not really movable in my schedule. I can do it at different times, but generally speaking, it is my major commitment, right up there with going to sleep and waking up and brushing my teeth. It's right up there and having good food. I just wanted to thank everyone that has participated and shared their hearts and their soul with us. Even if you never showed your face on camera or never participated in the community conversations, we know you're here and I love it. I do. I think this is why we do it. We're not the biggest, we're not the best, but we are the brightest feast that goes on. I also had the thought, I had that thought last week, but I didn't do anything with it, that if you are in town or want to come to America, in about 10 days, we're going to all get together. We're really excited. Susie, Sue, Shay, Mary, and I, and so many other beautiful meditation teachers that you've probably heard throughout the years. We're having our final teacher retreat in Sedona, and we'd love to have you there if you can make it work. I know it's not very expensive, but it's a hike to get there. But I thought I'd put the link in the chat. As Susie said, yeah, we'd love to see you. I didn't open it up to everyone, but since you're still here and you've been coming, you might really enjoy it. I know we all do, and we're very excited about going. So that's how I'm keeping my feast going too, is by communing with people that really make my soul sing. One of our teachers I was on the phone with yesterday, Her name is Corinne. She's from Nashville, and she guided a meditation during this feast. And we got off the phone, and it was such a palpable, and you probably have this with people you know and love. There was such a palpable feeling of love that I felt just by spending a half an hour on the phone with her. And so I quickly left her a message. I said, being with you on the phone feels like love. And so I would suggest that you, as well as everyone and me, spend a lot of time in the love vibe. I think that's the only way that we're going to be able to create the compassion and the harmony and the inner peace in this world. So thanks for joining us today. Keep the feast going. We're going to keep the calendar up and running. And I'm going to leave us with my favorite reason for meditating and committing to peace every day is because I want peace in the world, like everyone here, I think. And the first, as Lao Tzu said, in order to have peace in the world, there must be peace between nations. In order to have peace between nations, there must be peace in the cities. In order to have peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. In order to have peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. In order to have peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. So even though we've got a lot of people legislating peace, it's really we're the inner authority, and we're the ones that make the difference. So don't give up hope. We can do it, one nervous system at a time, being the beacons of peace on the planet. And so you've got a big job. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Thanks for that beautiful meditation, Susie. And thanks for your kind attention to this matter. Namaste.